Well, hello friends and welcome back to the Wonky Carrot Homestead. My name is Paul and as always it is great to have you here. Today I'm down in the orchard and I'm going to be doing some fertilizing. The seasons are starting to change here. It's a cool day today, but this last week we've had some slightly warmer temperatures. So it's time to get these fruit trees all sorted out and ready for this oncoming season and crop. So in here I've got a soil mix, some compost, some some fruit tree specific fertilizer, which is an organic mix. I have some rooster poo, they call it rooster booster. So chicken poo fertilizer, it's also organic. I've got some organic compost and some soil, just some garden soil in here. So what I'm going to do is spread this around the fruit trees so that they can get some food. So I'll show you how I'm going to do that. This here is one of our apple trees, and recently Phoebe has been down here pruning our trees, trying to get rid of some of the dead wood and tidy them up a little bit so they're a little bit more appropriate for growing. Now, we also have a bit of a problem in this sort of area because we have serrated tussock grass, a really invasive weed. So it's a grass, it's this stuff here in front of us. So what we've been trying to do is dig that out. So there's a couple of spots where there's some soil and the tussock weed has been dug out as I've sort of gone along. Dora, as usual, wanting to play with the ball. So what I'm going to do, and Mr. Rooster wants to get involved as well. What I'm going to do is sprinkle this fertilizer mix just around the drip line of the tree here. So about, excuse you sir, so about this far out, all the way around. I'm probably only going to use 2 or 3 shovel loads just around the edge here, and then the joys of working in the orchard where the chicken coop is just there. So I'm going to put that around where I have got rain forecast, and so I'm hoping that as I sprinkle this around, the rain will come and water that into the soil, and these trees will get the food that they need to then create a bumper crop this season. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to focus on the apples, our pear, and if I have fertilizer remaining, I'll do some of the plums. The new trees that we've planted, they've already got some fertilizer around their base, so we don't need to do those just right now. We do have a lot of plums though, so I'm probably not going to get through all of those. So apples as priority, pear as secondary. We only have 1 pear tree so far as we know, and then plums. And clearly, Mr. Rooster's telling me to get on with it. So get on with it, I shall do. And Dora wants her ball thrown, so as always, everybody asks, make sure you throw the ball. Ball is thrown. So a couple of loads of this around each tree, around that drip line. I'm sort of just gonna scatter it in, sort of like this. It's a pretty strong mix. And the reason why I put it out here is because this is where the feeder roots for the tree are. There's no point putting it all the way back in here because the feeder roots aren't there. So out at approximately the edge of the canopy or the drip line of the tree is the ideal spot. So not much is required. And putting this on the grass is going to make this grass grow really super quick. So probably in a week or so, I'm going to have a ring of really lush grass around this tree. That's all right, I'll just mow it. Guys, what do you call this? I call this a shovel, and there's another tool that is called a spade. Now, I call this a shovel because, as you can see, it has this scooped appearance, whereas a spade has a flat blade and tends to be sharp on the end. This reminds me of a tool that is used for, gotta say the word then, for digging coal or in a mine or on a steam train or something like that. And so coal shovel, hence shovel. But I'm not calling it right. Is it a shovel? I don't know if that's correct. Maybe this is a spade and the other one's a shovel, or maybe they're all shovels and there's no spade. What do you think? Let me know below. This is one of our apple trees, and we've recently taken the guard off from around it that was strangling it, and it also had fruit netting over the top. It was really struggling to grow. What I've just noticed as I've come down to put the fertilizer ring around this apple tree is this in here. These little nibble marks. It's on that branch there too. So what causes that? Well, that is probably one of two things. It's either the kangaroos or it's the possum, or it could be a combination. But given the height, I'm thinking that that's probably going to be a kangaroo. So I guess one of the activities that I need to do is make this fence that's around the orchard here slightly more, well, what should we say? Kangaroo proof? Are we thinking it's kangaroos? I'm thinking it's going to be the kangaroos. So we'll make this slightly more kangaroo proof. And we might have to put a individual exclusion cage around that tree because they're just going to keep doing that. And when there's fruit on there, they're just going to eat it. So that's another task to add to the list. It's never ending at the Wonky Carrot Homestead. We have another tree here that's outside of the orchard and quite a way away from the house, and I always forget about it. I think this is a peach as well, this one. Guess we'll find out this season. Hey guys, I'm just down here by the creek. We've had a lot of rain recently, thankfully. So I thought I'd come down and check out how it's flowing. And, well, it's flowing pretty well. Nice, clear water. I did see some fish just recently, little tiny ones, upstream. So that was pretty cool. I kind of hope that one day I might see a platypus down here. There's wombats and we've got the echidna, beaky around the place, and kangaroos and what have you. So the last thing we need to add to our list is a platypus. Now that would be pretty cool. I have thought about doing some testing of the water to see if there's platypus DNA in here. I do have some equipment that would allow me to do that, so maybe I might do that during the summer months. We'll see how we go with that. Dora's just up on the hill here, nosing around. Yeah, this is a really peaceful little spot just to come to. Nice trickling water flow. You know, guys, as we always say on this channel, we really appreciate your support. So if you're enjoying the videos that we are creating, be sure to hit like and subscribe. There's some really cool things that I've got in mind for the next little while into the future. So yeah, I encourage you to stick around, make sure you're getting those notifications so you can see what's going on the channel and be a part of our growing future here at the Wonky Carrot Homestead. All right, let's get back to it. Just if you're wondering, yes, we do have leeches. They're massive. Yes, we do have ticks. Normal tick size. So, got to check after you've been down near the water like that for leeches in particular. The clouds are coming. We might get a little bit wet soon. See how we go. Also, That's a prickly pear. That is a prickly pear. And that also needs to come out. Add that to the list. All right, guys, the weather outside has been on and off rain and some sun, but mostly rain today. So probably not going to do a whole lot more outside. But that's all right because it is starting to come into the time of the year when we're getting some seeds into the seed raising mix and on our heat mat. So recently we actually got a heat mat, so it's going to be the first time using a heat mat to raise seeds. Normally I would wait until probably mid-November to start getting seeds into seed raising mix, and I'll put them straight into the greenhouse in the yard. But this year we're trying something different. We've been having a good chat with quite a lot of people in our gardening community here, and also a local seedling and plant supplier, and they all recommend trying now to raise some of those crops that might take a little bit longer. One of the things that I have discovered over the winter is our region is a little bit different to most other regions in Australia. So where I grew up, I'm very much used to you can get some crops growing during winter time, whereas here we seem to be very much restricted to about 120 days of frost-free growing, which means that despite what some of the recommendations are, where you can plant in winter and things will grow and crop in winter, our gardens are just really slow and not producing. And I've noticed this in the past at our previous house, where we planted during winter and things stayed more or less dormant the whole winter. And then spring came along and everything got a rush on, and then either cropped or bolted and turned to flower and seed. That's not what we want. Obviously, we want crops that we can eat. So we've been having a think and a discussion, and we've all sort of come up to the conclusion in our own way that we should be doing a little bit more like what many of you on YouTube do in your gardens, is grow intensively during the warmer months, and then during the cold winter months, assume that the garden isn't going to produce. Now there's some crops there like garlic, which will go in year after year during the winter months because they need the frost to set. And of course the orchard will need frost to set the fruit as well. But those other crops, we're thinking, instead of trying to grow them during winter, so the brassicas and peas, for example, which traditionally in Australia people recommend planting and growing during the winter, because we have that really short 120-day growing period, we're thinking that we're going to focus instead on varieties that grow better in slightly warm weather and grow intensively during that summer period. So we've got some brassicas in at the moment, we've got some cauliflower, some cabbages, some Brussels sprouts, all in the ground, and they're really doing nothing there. Only in the last week or so, as the weather has started to slightly warm up a little bit, and we're getting more daylight hours, have they started to look like they're going to produce a crop. But we're sort of mid-August, and in probably about another month or so, daytime temperatures are going to start moving into the mid-teens and the 20s. So degrees Celsius. What am I saying? Fahrenheit. We live in Australia. Celsius. So that means that we probably are going to end up with a failed crop out of a lot of those things because they're cold. Cold month varieties, if you like, but yet they haven't cropped. They've got a lot of leaf coming on, but no main crop. So yeah, thinking forward to growing sort of next year, next winter, I'm thinking maybe will be a time to let the garden rest. We haven't had snow this year. Sometimes snow is forecast into October. We've had a few days where it's been forecast, but it hasn't eventuated. We've had quite a lot of heavy frost though. Many nights we've had minus 10 degrees once or twice. So very cold winter. And that more or less just sets everything into dormancy. It's too cold for anything to grow. So that, no, we don't want that anymore. So they just stop. So thinking of changing the game a little bit for next year, growing a lot during summer, those are ones that can tolerate slightly warmer temperatures, and winter, just have things go dormant, or crops like garlic that really love that cold period and need that really long growing period. So that's what we're thinking of doing. So that leads us to this year and what we're going to plant in the ground. So we did a seed order recently. This box over here on the table, I'll show you. So these ones I've sorted to be summer crop, traditionally thinking summer crop seeds. And these ones are winter crop and just some random paraphernalia that we've got, some string and what have you. So you can see that we've got a lot of seeds, and because we have a lot of seeds and a lot of seeds isn't enough for gardeners, we got some more seeds. And Phoebe says to me the other day, we also need to get this, 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 this and this. So we have more seeds yet to come. So in here we have some corn, blue mini popcorn. We have some sweet corn sweet legacy. I'll show you the blue corn as well. It's got a really nice blue-green hue to the seeds. Some cucumber, Muncha burplus. I heard somebody pronounce it burplease the other day. I don't know if that's correct, but anyway, Muncha burplus. Cucumber Lebanese. Cucumber Space Master. Tomato San Marzano. Tomato Blue Beauty. Tomato Roma. Tomato Amish Paste. Tomato Rose de Marmande. Probably butchered that pronunciation as well, but anyway. Tomato Tomito. Tomato Yellow Pear. Tomato Black Cherry. Tomato Constelluto Fiorentino. Good pronunciation, I'm sure. Tomato Tigerella. I've already got a packet of these just here, so I'll see whether I plant these ones or the old ones. I should plant the old ones first. And some gross lists. So all of these, if not most of these, if not all of them, are indeterminate. So that means they kind of just keep growing and growing and growing and growing and growing until you tell them to stop. Determinate varieties get to a certain size crop, and then that's it. So we're going to need a lot of space for these. I'm not super sure which ones to plant first, although we do have, we have had a bit of a request for some Roma seedlings. So in our garden group, we sort of have a bit of a trade and bartering system. So I'm going to raise some of the Roma seedlings for a friend who's asked for some of those. I'll do my very best to get those growing. So they're 5 to 10 days germination at 21 to 27 degrees. They are frost tender. And then when we eventually plant them, it'll be row 60, 70 centimeters apart. Full sun, moist, well-drained soil, maturity 75 to 80 days. And on the back of this seed package, it says best months to sow for cool climate, which is us, September, October, November, and December. What we find, some years we get a double crop, some years we have to just get a single crop, but that's fine. So I have already in the seed, I've got a little hot pad and a little greenhouse seed raising thingy. I'll show you that in a minute. I've already got 3 of these plug trays in, and there's more or less space for 6 trays. So I'm thinking what I'll do is I'll put some romas in, I'll put some tigerella in, and then I might put another variety in. I'll figure that out in a second. I'm not going to put any of the corn or the cucumber in. It's just simply too early for those at the moment. So probably another, I don't know, 2 weeks or so, I might start to think about getting some of those in. We really want to get the tomatoes going. I've got the capsicums in, I've got some chilies in, and what else did I put in? Oh, some eggplants as well. I put in those about probably a week ago. I haven't seen any germination yet, but hoping in the next couple of days we will get some germination with those. All right, after some thinking and some consultation with Dora here, what I've decided to do is in each of the plugs, I'm going to put, let me start that again. In each of these 6 trays, I'm going to put 3 varieties. And so in each plug, I'm going to put probably 3, maybe 4 seeds. And so we end up with 4, 8 of one variety, 4, 8 of another variety, 4, 8 of another variety. So for example, in this first set of 6, I'm going to put the Tomato, San Marzano, and Costaluto Fiorentino. Nailed that. That sounds like it should be some sort of fancy pod coffee variety or something like that. So that's what I'm going to do. And the next row along, black cherry, rouge de marmande, and Amish paste. Finally, the tigerella, the Roma, and the Blue Beauty. So that leaves then Mr. Rooster again. That leaves then the Gracilus, the yellow pear, and the tigerella, which we're already putting in. So that's 2 varieties surplus. You right, mate? We're chatting to the world in here. And he's like, yeah, I'm chatting to my mate across the road, up the hill. Because there's another rooster that lives not too far away at our neighbour's house, and I can hear it crowing. And so can he. And so he likes to call out and like, my house is better than yours. I get to roam around all day because they're in a coop up the top there, and don't really get to move around. So that's probably what they're talking about. Anyway, all right, let's get on with this. So I'm going to put these ones that are the corn and the cucumbers back in a little bag. Otherwise, I'm going to lose those. I'm going to put the tomatoes back in there as well. So I'm going to lose those. Now, what I've forgotten is I need to make some little signs for these. So bear with me and I shall get some tags to make some little signs. Okay. Hello, doggy. Hello, Dora. Dora is back. Okay, so that's my little tub to make some little signs. What I'm going to do is use these powder pop sticks, and I'm going to some wooden spoons and bits and bobs. What I'm going to do is break them up into little sticks, just large enough to write the variety on them, and that'll do, because these are only going to stay in here. So this little one, I've already got some soil in. This other one, I've got some soil here that I'll put in these other 3. So this is just a seed and cutting specialty mix. I'm only using this because I had it lying around. So I'm going to use it up. What I do notice is it's got quite a lot of sand in it. That's all right. I've used this, I think I used this product last year to raise the seeds. It's probably why I have it sitting around. And last year got quite good seed germination. But like I said, I did it much later and I just did it straight into the greenhouse. And that works really well. It just means that you're starting things a lot later. So the idea of the heat mat is to try and get the seeds started earlier. and try and get the crop germinating earlier. And again, going back to that sort of 120-day growing period that we've discovered that we have. Okay, they're all filled up now. I'm just going to use one of these little spoons just to spread it all around. I don't know if you can hear in the background the little cheep, cheep, cheep. That's the three little, that's our three little chicks that we've got inside at the moment. So Honey, one of the silkies, is looking after the three little chicks. She's doing an incredible job. They're growing day by day and getting bigger and bigger and bigger. So that's exciting. I think once the weather warms up, they'll be outside ready for roaming around in the spring garden, which is pretty exciting. Okay, so that's that. Those trays loaded up there. So as you can see, I've sort of just more or less put a consistent amount of soil in each. I also need to go and get some scissors. I'll go and get those. I should get everything prepared, shouldn't I? Anyway, I'll go and get some scissors so I can trim the tops off these and not destroy the bag. Okay, I've got some scissors so I can open the bag. One of the questions that I have for the community out there, I took my beanie off before, so I probably have really good beanie hair. Anyway, it's getting in my face, it's quite annoying. One of the questions that I have for the community out there, do you use vermiculite on top of your seeds when you're trying to raise them? I've seen mixed commentary online about it. So vermiculite looks like a really light sort of dust type of material. It's made, it's a byproduct of mining, copper mining I think it is. But it creates this really light layer which holds moisture quite well, and it's also got aluminium, iron, silicate and silica, something else in there, that adds trace elements and nutrients to the soil. But I've sort of had mixed outcomes with it. Sometimes if I've used it, it's created some really good germination. I had some leeks earlier this year that I put some vermiculite on top, and it helped them germinate really well because it seemed to retain the moisture. Whereas other times I found that it seems actually to inhibit germination. So does anybody use it? And do you recommend using it? And if you do use it, is there specific crops that you, specific seeds that you use it on, and others that you don't use it on? Let me know. Okay, so first seed that I will put in is going to be the tigerella. Let's get that little large lump of bark out of the way. So the tigerella are going to go in. As I said, maybe I'll do 4 seeds per plug, and I will just thin them out later on. I'll try and do my best to distribute them sensibly around each plug. I don't remember when we got this package, probably last year I'd say. It's a delicate little exercise. 1, 2, 3, 4. One, 2, 3, 4. So that's 8 tigerellas in there. Now, I've seen some people on YouTube in particular who are like, oh, I only want to grow 2 of these plants, so I'm only going to put 2 seeds in, and then boom, they get 2 plants, and they grow 2 plants, and they crop unbelievably heavily. I've never had such joy when growing. Like tomatoes grow prolifically. They grow up from the compost. They do crop, but I've never had the success of being able to put 2 seeds in and have 2 plants grow and then 2 successful cropping plants. I don't know what sort of magic is going on there, but anyway, so yes, I tend to oversow, and then if I have way too much than I can handle, I'll either give it away to people or plant them in random spots around the garden, or sometimes if it's getting towards the end of the season, I'll just go in the compost. That's just how it is. So they're in. Next will be the Blue Beauty. So the Blue Beauty is a climbing beefsteak tomato with blue-black shoulders over red skin. Blue develops in direct sun. This will be the first time growing these ones. We had a bit of a, what shall we say, excited seed buying exercise recently. Got onto the website and we'll have that, and we'll have that, and we'll have that, and we'll have that. And now we have all of these different varieties. But that's cool, because that means we can try different things and see what works. And then also see what doesn't work. I think that might have been 2 seeds go in there. So that's 4. Finally, the romas are going in this last little bay. So amongst the array of random possessions that I have in my life, from being a scientist, one that's worked in the lab but also worked out in the field, is tweezers. These are from a specimen dissection kit. So I was struggling a minute ago to get the seeds out of my hand and into the soil. So I'm hoping that these little tweezers will help me get them from here to there much faster. All right, that's all of the seeds in the soil. Now to make the little signs. So I'm just going to snap these sticks into 3, more or less. And last step in the process is to top dress with a bit more soil. Just a really light sprinkle. In fact, I might use one of these spoons just to push it around. Okay, that's all of the seedlings in their little trays and their little plugs. So what I'll do is I'll take them now over to the heat mat and show you that and put them in there. This here is our little heat mat setup. So I've just got a clear plastic container over the top. And as you can see in here, already got some seeds going. So this is quite warm, actually. Keeps it about 24, 25 degrees. These have been in here a week, I think. Can't remember. So some serrano chili, some scorpion chili, 2 varieties of eggplant, and some capsicums down this end of town. So we will add our new little bits. So our tomatoes, Roma, the Rouge de Marmade, whatever it is, and our tomato set. And that's about full there now. So this little setup, just a heat mat, like I said, keeps things warm. I've just got some tiles under here to retain some of the heat and to keep it up off this timber. And this little globe here is a 6,500 Kelvin globe, so it replicates daylight, sun, more or less. And I keep that on for about 8 hours in the day. It's only a really small globe. I think it's 4 watts, maybe not even. So it doesn't use up a whole lot of power. This heat mat doesn't use up very much power at all. And then the next thing is twice a day I just come over and spray with just a little bit of water, just to dampen the soil. Oops. I'll try and get all the area around where the seeds will be nice and wet. Now remember, the seeds aren't, we've lost, there we are. The seeds aren't that deep, so we don't need to drown the soil. Just dampen it. If we go too wet, the seeds will rot anyway. We don't want that. In here I'm just using rainwater. So no chlorine, nothing like that, straight out of our rainwater tanks. Making sure everything's nice and wet. This is our first time doing it. Get these ones up back here with water. All right, so that's the process. And now I will put the cover back on. Sing them a happy song, and they shall grow. Okay guys, the sun is calming back out a little bit at the end of the day here, sort of creeping through the clouds. So I am going to get on with a couple of other tasks that I need to get done. They're not very exciting, so I won't bother filming those. But yeah, thank you for joining us once again. I'm excited to have you along on the journey of the first seed planting and seed raising for this year's summer crop. It's hard to believe a couple of months from now we're going to be getting those into the ground, and then fast forward 6 months or so and we're going to be harvesting that crop together and going through the process of canning and preserving and making sauces and all of those delicious things that we can get into the pantry. Phoebe's probably going to be doing most of that sort of stuff, so stay tuned for that. We're really excited and looking forward to sharing that with you. But anyway, like I said, it's been great having you here. Thanks again for tuning in. Do all the usual things, the like, the comment, the subscribe, all of that helps YouTube know that you're loving the content, and we will see you again in the next one. Bye for now.